Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are today's top stories. The U.S. Supreme Court agrees to hear an appeal on banning cross-sex procedures for minors. The case involves a law in Tennessee restricting puberty blockers for minors. A lawsuit on how candidates' names appear on the ballot in one California county. The suit claims names were not randomized properly. Controversy over a new bill in California. An attorney shares more on the debate between protecting kids' privacy versus parental rights. First up, the U.S. Supreme Court agrees to hear an appeal from the Biden administration seeking to block states from banning cross-sex procedures and drugs for minors. This comes as some Republican-led states have been adopting laws to restrict such procedures for underage patients. The Supreme Court is jumping to the debate over transgender issues. Today, the court has agreed to hear an appeal from the Biden administration, which is seeking to block states from banning cross-sex procedures and drugs for minors. The case before the High Court involves a law in Tennessee that restricts puberty blockers and hormone therapies for minors. A federal appeals court allowed the law to take effect after lower courts had blocked it. Lawmakers supporting the restrictions have said the drugs are experimental and potentially harmful. Those challenging the law argue that the ban violates the 14th Amendment's guarantees of equal protection and due process. Last week, South Carolina became the 25th state to adopt a law restricting or banning transgender medical procedures for minors. Oral arguments will take place in the fall. Powerful explosions set the lithium battery factory on fire in South Korea today. 22 people were killed in the fire, among them 18 Chinese nationals.
I feel really bad. The victims used to come here every day, but they didn't come today. I don't have an appetite anymore, and I don't feel like eating anything for dinner because I feel very sad for them.
The fire department said it was one of the country's worst factory disasters in years. The fire began in the morning and burned out of control for nearly 6 hours. The factory is run by manufacturer Aries Cell in the capital city of Seoul. A series of battery cells exploded inside the warehouse. It's still unclear what exactly triggered the explosion. South Korea's president visited the scene of the accident. The country's interior minister called on local authorities to take steps to prevent any hazardous chemicals from contaminating the surroundings. Russian authorities are investigating yesterday's attacks in the southern region of Dagestan. At least 20 people are dead after alleged Islamic terrorists attacked multiple locations. Among the victims are 15 police officers and 4 civilians. At least 5 attackers were killed as well. Gunmen attacked an Orthodox church and a synagogue in the ancient city of Derbent on Sunday. Authorities say the attackers killed a 66-year-old priest before setting the church on fire. In a different city, another group shot at a traffic police post and attacked a church. Gun battles erupted around the cathedral, which lasted late into the night. There is no immediate claim of responsibility for the attacks, but the governor of Dagestan said it was performed by members of Islamist sleeper cells directed from abroad. The governor observed an official day of mourning today. He also visited the church and synagogue in Derbent. Celebrities, politicians, influencers, and others are making stops in Israel's south, which was devastated after the Hamas terror attack on October 7th. Now it's becoming a solemn tourism experience. Jerry Seinfeld, Elon Musk, Michael Douglas, Nikki Haley, Ivanka Trump, and Jared Kushner are a few who have visited. Many of the towns that experienced the worst destruction are closed to the public. Other parts of southern Israel are open to the public and are encouraging visitors.
I think it's important that this becomes a tourist site. I think everybody needs to see this for their own eyes, for themselves. I think a lot of people are trying to find excuses and trying to find explanations for why so many innocent people needed to be killed. And it's just not right.
For the same reason you have cathedrals and you have synagogues and you have churches. It's, and again, it's a pilgrimage. It allows you, this was such an incredible tragedy I mean, young people out celebrating peace, and all of a sudden they're attacked and murdered.
Resilience Tours connect a group with survivors who share their memories of October 7th. The site of Nova Music Festival has become a pilgrimage site for hundreds of visitors every day. Photos of victims are arranged around what had been the main stage. After losing an election by 14 votes, one candidate claims that her election office did not properly follow a randomized alphabet, resulting in errors in name order on the ballot. NTD's David Lamb hears from the candidate's lawyer in California.
Laura Hobbs, running for supervisor for Shasta County in California, sued the county registrar of voters in April, primarily saying that the candidate's name order was not randomized properly as prescribed by the state. Hobbs' lawyer told NTD there were other discrepancies, including data and chain of custody.
Now, what the county is claiming is, even though they admit that all these mistakes took place, they're saying they don't matter because they weren't intentional.
The winning candidate was Alan Long. His name appeared first on the March ballot, and he obtained 50.13% of votes. Since he received more than 50%, he avoided a runoff election to face her in November. California's Supreme Court previously said an advantage comes to candidates at the top of ballots.
It's not always true that the candidate at the top wins the election. I think that's pretty clear. Laura Hobbs, like I said, her opponent, Alan Long, won by 14 votes. That was 0.13% of the total vote. We are simply asking that Laura Hobbs and Alan Long both go onto that runoff together, where we think that Laura stands a very good chance of winning.
Haberbush says he wants the court to recognize that the errors had an impact on the election, and if unaddressed, he believes these errors would continue to keep happening.
If there are defects at the county level, those defects end up getting transmitted to the Secretary of State and then transmitted to the rest of the country in a presidential election. So, the bottom level here really does matter, because that's where everything important is going on.
The judge in the case had said the lawsuit does not spell out sufficient grounds for an election contest. NTD reached out to the lawyer representing Shasta County. He told us the trial is ongoing, and as such, I cannot provide a comment. The trial resumes Tuesday. David Lamb, NTD News.
Controversy over a new bill in California. Supporters say it's protecting students with gender confusion. Critics say it's undermining parental rights. NTD's Daniel Monahan speaks with an attorney for analysis.
AB 1955 is authored by Assemblymember Christopher Ward and State Senator Scott Wiener. It forces the State Department of Education to create or update resources for LGBT students and their families. It also makes it illegal for teachers or staff to reveal a student's sexual orientation or gender identity to parents without the student's permission. In addition, it would prohibit retaliation against teachers and staff for whatever work activities they do to support LGBT students. Attorney Nicole Pearson says the bill is trying to drive a wedge between parents and their kids.
What this bill will do if it becomes law is make it legal not only for those teachers to have private inappropriate conversations with your child that you are not privy to, but then lie to you about what discussions they have. So it's a very dangerous bill.
Pearson says she and other attorneys have made formal Freedom of Information requests to Attorney General Rob Bonta and Governor Gavin Newsom. They're asking for data to show how many parents would reject or potentially abuse their child if they came out as gender confused.
We have never received that data. In fact, the data does not support that. We live in a country where everyone is presumed innocent, even criminals, until proven guilty. And so we have to operate from actually the presumption, number one, that all the parents are well-intentioned parents. We're not perfect parents, but we always want what's best in the best interest of our children.
The attorney says the courts have always strived to keep families together, and that even the bill acknowledges that kids thrive when parents are involved in their lives.
We're talking about parents who are drug addicts, parents who are sex workers, parents who abuse their children, send them to the hospital, who lose custody. We're always working towards reunification. So why here in this instance, with zero data and support, are we assuming or presuming these parents are going to be abusive and allowing the state to step in the middle of that relationship and to take over where parents are actually critically important to be involved?
Assembly Bill 1955 will be voted on this week in the Assembly Education Committee in Sacramento. NTD reached out to bill author Senator Scott Wiener and Assembly member Christopher Ward. We're still waiting to hear back from them. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Fires, floods, and heat waves battered the U.S. over the weekend. We'll take a look at the most severe weather impacts from across the country. An upcoming event in Los Angeles will allow individuals to anonymously surrender fireworks as the Independence Day approaches. Finally winning first place in the annual World's Ugliest Dog competition. This pup is now crowned top dog after years of coming in second. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. Communities across the U.S. are grappling with a series of natural disasters and severe weather conditions. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the latest from fires in California and New Mexico to catastrophic flooding in the Midwest and a heat wave on the East Coast.
A brush fire is quickly spreading through parts of Fresno, California. The California Highway Patrol says crews have been battling the blaze. They are warning people to avoid the area, as wind conditions may change the direction of the fire. A helicopter braves the smoke to dump water on the spreading fire. The twin blades of the chopper spin powerfully as large loads of water rocket down to the hungry inferno. In other fire news, the FBI has offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest of anyone responsible for the 2 New Mexico fires. The blazes have scorched 25,000 acres around the village of Ruidoso. The fires have been blamed for 2 deaths and more than 1,400 destroyed structures. While some parts of the country have been besieged by fire, other areas like the upper Midwest have faced catastrophic flooding. The city of Rock Valley, Iowa, blared its tornado siren Saturday to warn residents to escape to safety. Potentially deadly floodwaters were on the way. Drone footage shows severe flooding in the streets of the city after it was hit by heavy rainfall. Houses are inundated with water. For some homes, only rooftops can be seen peeking out of the high floodwaters. A sea of houses and cars, swallowed up by a new mass of water where streets and homes were just days earlier. Evacuated residents shared photos from the deluged city. In response, Iowa issued a disaster proclamation. Governor Kim Reynolds described the devastation as severe and widespread.
In almost every community impacted, the rivers crested several feet above record levels from the floods of 1993. In fact, we had 16 flood gauges that recorded historic levels.
Reynolds says at least 1,900 properties have been affected. Hundreds have been destroyed.
Businesses are shuttered, main streets have been impacted, hospitals, nursing homes, and other care facilities were evacuated.
A flood advisory is also in place in southern Minnesota and southeastern South Dakota. Also in the Midwest, a dramatic storm cloud can be seen here, moving over Madison, Wisconsin. The dark sky paints an ominous picture as a fierce and bright bolt of lightning flashes down from the heavens. Elsewhere, tornado watches were issued on Sunday for much of New England, while extreme heat has affected a wide swath of the country. Washington, D.C. hit 100 degrees on Saturday for the first time in 8 years. More than 100 million people were under heat warnings on Sunday, with temperatures in the 90s in states like Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, significantly above normal for this time of year. The extreme heat is expected to shift to Nebraska and Kansas today. The National Weather Service warns that significant heat wave conditions will continue in many areas this week. Globally, extreme heat is suspected of causing hundreds of deaths across Asia and Europe, affecting cities on 4 continents. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Some California police cars are getting a makeover. One company is turning Tesla Cybertrucks into advanced police patrol vehicles. NTD's BJ King has the story.
Your street could soon look like a 1980s sci-fi movie, as police Cybertrucks could soon be patrolling Californian cities. Upfit, a Tesla vehicle outfitting service, has recently revealed a model of a modified Cybertruck developed for use in law enforcement operations. The company developing the models is a division of Unplugged Performance, which focuses more broadly on Tesla outfitting. They created Upfit to fill a demand to replace older police vehicles amidst the national supply issue. These Cybertrucks are outfitted with all the typical patrol equipment: lights, PA systems, weapon storage, and even prisoner partitions. However, the company also boasts a few unique upgrades, such as enhanced radio and computer systems, and even Starlink internet connectivity. The company also advertises its adaptability to military and search and rescue operations as well. Southern Californian cities such as Anaheim and South Pasadena have already deployed several outfitted Teslas from the company, and Upfit reports that several police agencies are already interested in acquiring these patrol Cybertrucks as soon as they're released. Orders for these futuristic-looking patrol cars are open now and can be seen on the streets as early as late 2024. BJ Kang, NTD News, California.
Ahead of 4th of July, the city of Los Angeles is hosting their annual fireworks buyback in an effort to curb illegal fireworks. NTD's Christina Corona has more details on the program.
With fireworks being illegal in the city of Los Angeles, Councilmember Monica Rodriguez joined the Los Angeles Police and Fire Departments to discuss their 4th annual fireworks buyback program.
That we are continuing on this path to invite the public to anonymously and collaboratively surrender those illegal fireworks through our annual fireworks buyback program here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley.
However, anyone is allowed to drop fireworks off with 0 questions asked. Last year, over 600 pounds of fireworks were turned in. In exchange, officials are offering gift cards, Dodger tickets, and a variety of valuable items that will offset the cost. Rodriguez says illegal fireworks not only pose a potential fire risk in neighborhoods, but it also endangers people lighting the often unstable pyrotechnics, and
it causes great distress to neighborhoods. The trauma that is inflicted on our household pets, the trauma inflicted to veterans who are suffering with PTSD, our senior citizens who are constantly distressed from the disturbance.
Interim Chief Dominic Choi from the Los Angeles Police Department says that during the 4th of July, there's a significant increase in animals getting separated from their families due to being startled by fireworks and will end up at the shelters.
They're going to be at maximum capacity at 4th of July because these animals get startled by the fireworks and they run away from their homes. And then their owners are out there trying to find them in all this chaos.
If they aren't microchipped, it becomes nearly impossible to reunite them with their families.
Unfortunately, only 20% of dogs entering our shelters ever are reunited with their homes ever again, which means 80% of those dogs are in our shelters looking for a new family.
For tips on keeping your pets safe and reuniting lost animals with their owners, visit laanimalservices.com. Christina Corona, NTD News.
In Northern California, the world's ugliest dog contest finally crowned a regular participant. He had won the 2nd place 3 times, but this year he rose up from the bottom to become top dog.
It's a contest where beauty is in the eye of the leash holder. At the annual World's Ugliest Dog Contest at the Sonoma Marin Fair in Petaluma, California, an 8-year-old Pekingese named Wild Thang finally became top dog. He had finished 2nd place in the contest 3 times in previous years.
Wild Thing was a fan favorite, and the fact that he had been competing for 5 times and only came in 2nd, it's kind of like the bridesmaid and never the bride. I think, really tugged at our heartstrings that, he deserved to win.
Known for his unique looks characterized by a lolling tongue and unruly fur, Wild Thing and his owner, Ann Lewis, took home a $5,000 check. The dog was born and raised in Los Angeles until recently moving to Oregon. According to his bio, Wild Thing contracted distemper as a puppy from a rescue foster, causing his tongue to stick out.
he's never had a haircut. So that is like the way he is, and she shaves his stomach, and he likes to sleep on ice packs, believe it or not. And he is just a sweet dog. I was just holding him, and he loves to be held and cuddled, so that's part of it. You know, these rescue dogs, they just need forever homes. So please adopt, don't shop.
Apart from the physical issues, his owner says Wild Thang is healthy and happy. The world's ugliest dog contest has been a highlight at the fair for almost 50 years and promotes adopting dogs from shelters instead of breeders, especially senior dogs.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. Taiwan's new president facing off against Beijing's shocking decree, the threat of the death penalty for anyone found supporting Taiwanese independence. More on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.